Matt, welcome to the Inside GITEX podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
So you're the CEO of Paradromics. Talk to me about what it is that you guys do.
We build brain-computer interfaces, which are essentially modems that connect brains and computers. So I have one in my pocket here today.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, this is the world's highest data rate brain-computer interface.
So what does that mean?
For
someone who doesn't know anything about brain and computer interfaces.
What it does is it sits on the surface of a brain, and it has tiny little platinum iridium microwires. They're smaller than human hairs, and they reach down into the surface of the brain and record from individual neurons. Now, I'll give you an example of the kind of thing you can do with a device like that. While we're talking right now, our motor cortex is telling our body what to do. It's telling our lips, our tongue, our larynx how to shape the air to make words. It's telling our hands, how to move around in various degrees of freedom. When someone becomes paralyzed, their brain can no longer direct their body to do those things. So if you think of the late physicist Stephen Hawking, he lost the ability to speak toward the end of his life. However, the motor cortex for people who become paralyzed is still active. It's still doing the same thing when they try to move. And so if you give someone who's paralyzed a brain-computer interface, it can interpret the neural signals of a person when they're trying to move or trying to speak, tell a computer what they're trying to do, and then a computer can complete that action for them by putting text on a screen or speaking on their behalf or even controlling a robotic arm.
I'm just blown away.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's happening around the world right now.
How many people have this?
I would say that there are probably about, in the last 20 years, 100 or so people who have received brain-computer interfaces.
And how much would something like that cost you to have?
We're expecting that for the product that I just described to you that helps people who are paralyzed to communicate again, a sales price of roughly $150,000. For the first years when it's rolled out.
So it'd be communicating via computer,
exactly,
effectively. So what inspired you to start this in the first place? It's amazing.
I'm a neuroscientist and a neurotechnologist by background. Yeah. So I started off and I was just developing ways to record from lots of neurons simultaneously. So one thing that I like to tell people is, because, it's difficult to intuit, brains are actually really slow.
Especially mine. Especially this early in the morning.
All of ours.
Yeah.
You think of a computer runs at gigahertz frequencies. That means it does 1 billion cycles per second. A neuron, from a neuron standpoint in your brain, if two things happen in the same millisecond, it basically happened at the same time, which means that it operates at kilohertz frequencies, 1 million times slower than a computer. And yet, brains do incredible things. And it's because we have so many neurons. We have 85 billion neurons. And one neuron can talk to 10,000 other neurons. So you have this massively complex parallel architecture. And what that means is that if we're trying to study the brain or if we're trying to get data out of the brain to do like healthcare applications, there's not like a high-speed port that you can just plug into. There's no USB in the brain. You have to talk to as many neurons as possible. That's the currency of information. So when I was postdoc at Stanford, I was developing ways to read out from as many neurons as possible. And I met a lot of researchers that were working with older technology, helping people with paralysis. And it was the conversations between me and them about what would it mean to bring new generation technology to BCI that inspired me to create the company.
Should we be scared of people like you, or should we be super excited about people like you?
I think you should be really excited about what neurotechnology can do for people with disabilities. And I think that not just me, but if I think of the other leaders in the BCI space that are building these technologies, I think we have a pretty special situation right now where the leaders in the field, almost all of them came into the space because they cared about restoring function for sick people. And we have a lot of capital now that's flowing in from Silicon Valley and from investors that are interested in, a farther off future of brain enhancement. But one thing that I've been telling people is, this is one of those really rare situations where the tech industry and Silicon Valley are creating positive externalities, meaning like they're trying to build the products that they want to build, but in the meantime, they're having side effects that are actually positive.
How big is this industry?
Well, we estimate that the first market use of BCI in communications is a roughly $20 billion business. The larger mental health space, served by BCI, Morgan Stanley estimated to be a $400 billion industry. If you think about the ambitions that Elon Musk and Sam Altman have for the space, it's even hard to put a number on it.